There are moments that feel like gravity changing. A single frame where the court rearranges itself around one player and everything that came before suddenly snaps into focus. June 12th, 2023. The Denver Nuggets, a franchise that had wandered for decades without ever touching the NBA's highest trophy, close out the Miami Heat 94-89.
Nuggets clinging to a one-point lead. Stolen by Caldwell Pope. The Denver Nuggets can finally call themselves NBA champions.
The arena holds its breath, then detonates. And in the middle of the chaos, the cameras find him.
This year's Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Nikola Jokic.
A soft-spoken center draped in a towel and a hoodie, arms folded, eyes soft, almost confused to be the center of the sport's loudest night. Nikola Jokic walks off the floor not like a conqueror, not like a man who climbed a mountain with fury, but like a craftsman completing a long, exacting job. The job was beautiful, but exhausting. Necessary, but never theatrical. That image, quiet, almost awkward, then unbelievably heavy, that becomes the hinge of a story that challenges every idea basketball had about superstardom. Because Jokic didn't rewrite the league with brute force or steroidized explosiveness. He did it with sweep-the-board intelligence, with footwork that looks borrowed from another decade, with soft-touch mid-range shots that feel like skipped pebbles, with passes that shouldn't exist, little slings and angles and one-handed darts that turned the floor into a chess match he already solved 2 moves ago. He made the modern NBA, a league addicted to highlights and verticality, feel like a small-piece orchestra conducted by one very strange, patient maestro who never raised his voice. And that's why the moment hits so hard, because when he finally holds the trophy, there's no theatrics, no victory speech exploding out of him. Just a man who cares about the work more than the applause.
I need to go home. Okay. I mean, I think it's about the journey.
Start with that frame, him in a hoodie blinking into the lights, and rewind. Because that night only matters if you trace it back through the horse barns in Sombor, the second-round doubts, the MVP debates, the conditioning jokes, the slow evolution from curiosity to inevitability. Rewind and the quiet makes sense. Rewind and the maestro reveals how he learned to conduct the entire sport without ever trying to look like the star. Start here, then rewind. Jokic was born February 19th, 1995 in Sombor, Serbia, a town that bred toughness, thrift, and a kind of stillness that molds people used to thinking long-term. He didn't arrive as the obvious prodigy scouts drooled over. He arrived skinny, slow, and oddly composed, a kid who practiced passing the way others practiced dunks. Europe taught him fundamentals, footwork, touch, spacing. But the NBA's scouting maps in 2014 still had blind spots for that profile. In the 2014 NBA draft, taken 41st overall, he almost slipped through America's attention like a private note slipped under the door. A second-round pick who would quietly become a doorway for the league to a new type of center. That 41st pick would later become a central data point for the narratives that love underdogs and hate conventional scouting wisdom. The first real surprise wasn't one game, but a pattern. An uncanny frequency of improbable assists, the kind of passes that make veterans mutter. Teammates noticed a pass from the post to the corner that arrives before a cutter even begins his move. A no-look dish that converts a scramble into a layup. Coaches noticed spacing had to shift to account for a center who saw the court like a point guard. Opponents noticed and were confused. How do you trap a man whose next move might be to create a higher probability shot for someone else while still being a credible shot threat himself? Jokic's early seasons were less about immediate fireworks and more about this slow accumulation. The weird box scores, the steady growth, the way every highlight seemed to add a new line in his unorthodox resume. There's a technical seam here that is fun to break down because it's small and exact. Jokic's passing is not mere handmade playmaking, it's spatial economics. He manipulates defensive gravity. When a defender sags, he reads it, pivots, and hits the roller or the corner before the defense retracts. When double teams come, he converts them into displacement. A cutter becomes clearer. A shooter gets the window. His footwork is cartoonish for a 7-footer. Quick pivots, staggered steps, a soft shoulder that sells contact while preserving balance. Where traditional big men attack with brute verticality, Jokić uses geometry, angles and timing to make finishing easier for himself and harder to counter for the defense. That's why advanced stats call him an efficiency machine. His touches create better expected shot values for his team. The Nuggets' story is a perfect complement to his. Denver didn't build an immediate dynasty around a clear blueprint. They found a skeleton and allowed it to grow. Jamal Murray's heat check scoring, Michael Porter Jr.'s spacing and length, Aaron Gordon's finishing and defense, and coach Michael Malone's patience combined into an ecosystem where Jokić was not asked to be everything, but was allowed to be everything he could be. Their chemistry matured in fits. The 2019 bubble showed potential. A brutal 2020-21 playoff exit taught tactical humility. Then, with tweaks and developments, the team learned to both feed Jokić and take pressure off him when defenses shifted. That maturation is the quiet half of a championship story. Talent plus organization plus incremental fixes equals destiny. There are big-ticket moments that people cite. The Finals MVP in 2023 being the crown jewel, but the actual pattern reads like a long film cut into dozens of microframes. A no-look lob in the fourth quarter that shifts momentum, a late-game pass that turns a defensive focus into an open three, a possession where he pivots in the post, fakes, draws two, and finds the trailer for an uncontested dunk. Those possessions add up. In the 2023 playoffs especially, Jokić led all participants in points, rebounds and assists, a statistical rarity that substantiates the visually obvious. He was not only a creator, but the fulcrum of Denver's offense and its highest probability scorer in crunch time. Watching the tape, you feel the cumulative pressure. Defenses have to guard everything at once, and most teams cannot do that for 48 minutes. The arc contains friction and critics. Early on, scouts labeled him as soft or slow. He had to learn how to impose himself, conditioning rumors and questions about motor surface periodically. Opponents tried physicality, hoping to push him off his spots. The counter was patience and craft. He bulked intelligently, learned to use his body to protect space, and refined his drop steps and short dribble finishes, so contact stopped him less often. Those were the invisible years, the ones full of extra shots in empty gyms, extra recovery, and an attention to angle rather than brute force. The result? A center who could both outthink and out-execute. Comparisons are always tempting, and they tell us what narrative boxes the public wants to file things into. Is Jokić more like Magic Johnson because of his passing instincts? More like Kareem in terms of a center-stretching impact across decades? The right comparison is Messi. He borrows from the big man tradition, post moves, touch around the rim, and grafts it onto a guard's spatial vision. Where Wilt or Shaq dominated through physicality and force, and Kareem through a devastating skyhook and longevity in the paint, Jokić rewrites the script by combining elite playmaking with efficiency and a perimeter-influencing presence. In a sense, he's a new archetype. The playmaking center whose primary superpower is the capacity to make teammates better while remaining the most reliable scoring option. That hybrid is a headache for traditional defenses and a paradise for modern analytics. There's also a cultural wrinkle. Jokic's personality and rise are deeply human. He's famously laconic in interviews, a man amused by fame but not reshaped by it. He eats local food, he rides a quiet path through the city, he loves horses. The public narrative sometimes leans into these details because they underline the strangeness of a superstar who refuses to perform celebrity. That refusal is also a strategic advantage. He values routine over spectacle, discipline over flash, which in a league of manufactured narratives makes him oddly ungraspable. Footage of brilliance without the usual PR machinery that often accompanies ultra stars. Fans love it because it feels authentic. Critics love to poke it because it defies the superstar template. Both reactions are part of the mythology. If you're hooked on the film room detail, pause and watch two sequences back to back. One where opponents try to double him early in the shot clock, and one where they allow him room and contest late. you'll see the same man solve both problems by reorienting the attack. When doubled early, he finds the roller or the catch and shoot. When left alone, late, he finishes. That game theory, the capacity to exploit either choice, is a tactical nightmare. It's why coaches who prepare for Jokic must plan for both scenarios and have contingency plays for when both fail. Few players generate so many high-value options out of the same touch. There are ethical and narrative edges too. Critics will point to playoff stumbles in earlier years, to nights where the offense staled, to the occasional lack of effort on defense. Those are fair. The counterpoint is simple and measurable. Jokic adjusted, matured, and then led his team to a championship and multiple MVPs. He won the NBA's Most Valuable Player award multiple times in a short span, an institutional recognition of his league-wide impact and consistency. Those awards aren't mere trophies on a shelf. They are the league's formal argument that his combination of scoring, rebounding, and elite playmaking produced more team value than any other player in those seasons. The awards matter because they confirm what the tape suggests. He's not a novelty, he's a sustained elite force. And if you're still here, still locked into this moment the way he was locked into that move, then just tap the like button. It tells me you're feeling the story the same way I am. The Nuggets roster dynamics also offer lessons for builders. Don't try to replicate Jokic. Instead, build an ecosystem that preserves his strengths. Spacing shooters who can punish help defense, a secondary ball handler who can survive attention, and a coach who trusts the center to make the right decision in the chaos. Denver's roster architecture, patience in development, willingness to wait for Murray's return from injury, and faith in role players like Porter, Gordon, and Bruce Brown paid dividends not because of luck, but because of coherent planning. That's the operational takeaway for GMs. An uncommon star requires an uncommon roster plan. There are iconic sequences worth returning to. That playoff triple-double where he dominated scoring, rebounding, and passing. The quiet fourth-quarter pull-up that critics later called a clutch play, because it arrived with the weight of a season behind it. The pass to Jamal Murray in a tight game that sits on highlight reels, not for flash, but for timing. The receiver is already moving before your eye can follow the pass. Those frames matter because they're the smallest units of narrative. One perfect choice that sums up a career-long habit. Show the clip, freeze the pass, and your viewer will understand what a Jokic play means. If this part hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment with the wildest Jokic pass you've ever seen. That no look to the corner, that full court outlet, that impossible angle over two defenders. I'm curious which moment lives in your head. And if you're vibing with the story, just subscribe so you're here for the next chapter. I read everything, and I'll pin the sharpest takes. The legacy question is practical and haunting. How will history remember him? As a three-time MVP and a Finals MVP who led a franchise to its first title, the institutional record is clear and strong. But legacy is also cultural. He rewired the center position toward playmaking. He made teams value spatial creativity as highly as paint dominance. For future drafts, front offices will look at Jokic and think, maybe the next generational star isn't the obvious athletic freak, but the smart, creative big who sees the game differently. That change in imagination may be his most durable contribution. End it on the image that opened everything. But now it hits different. Jokic, towel over his shoulders, championship confetti drifting down like slow snow. He's not yelling, not posing, just breathing in a new kind of air. He shaped himself like a slow instrument, tuned over years, practiced in silence, and finally played in the loudest hall basketball has. When you rewind his rise, second-round pick, MVP, finals legend, it stops feeling like a resume. It starts feeling like a new blueprint for greatness. Quiet, strange, brilliant. If that moment sat with you, share this video with the friend who still thinks centers are supposed to stay glued to the paint. Let's open up their definition of greatness together. And tell me in the comments which Jokic moment you want us to explore next. I'm reading them all. Watch the tape again. Pay attention to the passes that arrive before the cut, the feet that set a fraction early, the patience that converts pressure into opportunity. That's not magic, it's craft. A center who taught the league to read the court differently, who turned playmaking into a central defensive problem, and who, in doing so, made the game richer. Nikola Jokić didn't just win titles and awards, he invented a new grammar for how advantage is created on a basketball court. That's why his story matters,